Jimmy?
My question is whether or not we even have the right to entertain, or we should have entertained, a bid from an outside of town. The original meeting we had on this, it was a consensus of this council that we stayed local and bid it only local. After reviewing the tape, because at the next meeting it was said that we didn't do it properly, that we were supposed to go outside of town, and because at the time we didn't. A lot of us couldn't remember what actually took place. So I reviewed the tape, and some of the accusations that was presented was definitely uncalled for. We should have stayed. It should never gone this far. It should never happen the way it did. Why I say this is because some of the accusations that were said was very serious. I mean, when a councilor accuses the manager of not properly following procedures, that's pretty serious. Accused him of insubordination, that was uncalled for. After reviewing the tape, like I said, it was clear on the tape that if the vote would have been taken, it would have been a 4-2 minimum, and possibly 6-0, because there was 2 councilors who actually wanted to go outside of town, stay local, but the rest of us all spoke about staying local only. When I asked for clarification at the end, it was I asked if we were going to definitely stay local and send out the bid local and that only. And that's exactly, no one spoke out in opposition to that. No one spoke up. And I think Councilor Nelson even spoke about asking for how the quality of service was. And Gene, you spoke about that the service was excellent. And I think Mr. Nelson, you stated that if it's not fixed, if it's not broke, why fix it? So basically, I think the councilor on the end who made those serious accusations definitely needs to address this and even offer an apology to the manager for the accusation that he made.
Perhaps this council should review that tape or the CD of the meeting that Mr. Biska and I have or Councilor Biska and I have a very different recollection of. It's disheartening to me to be called out on the carpet tonight for his review of the tape. We don't have the tape here. All I can say is that when this issue was brought up at the council meeting initially, there were 4 councilors sitting here who had been in attendance at that meeting that said it was their understanding that this was to be put out to bid and put out to bid broadly. I wasn't at the meeting. I only have the benefit of watching the tape. And I don't want to belabor the point.
Anybody else? Mr. Sear?
Yeah, thank you, Jim. I also reviewed the tape, and I'll concur with Jimmy with what he said. And I reviewed the following tapes of the following 2 council meetings, and I counted 21 times that it was referred to there was things that were done improperly with the manager's handling of the insurance quotes. And I feel what Jimmy do. I think there needs to be some kind of an apology, maybe something said to that point, that effect.
Thank you. This.
I just want to quickly bring it up again that the only reason I bring this up in public because it was started in public. I mean, this was brought up in public originally, and that's why I felt that I was going to bring this up in public again to settle this once and for all, because I felt it was just totally uncalled for and unnecessary what was said at the time. And the tape does not lie. It clearly shows that the consensus of this council and the direction this council gave the manager was to stay local, because I asked it specifically to stay local, send out the bid, and the manager did exactly what he was told to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask if it's now the opinion of the 4 councilors that didn't see it that way a few meetings ago, if they've now changed their mind, because it wasn't on my opinion alone that I came to the conclusion that a mistake had been made and that the council's direction, not the council's order, but the council's direction, had not been followed. So I'd like to ask that question of the councilors that at the prior meeting felt that, in fact, the direction had been to go out to bid. That would be Councilor Nelson, yourself, Mr. Chairman, Councilor Paul, and Councilor Fandra.
I can only speak for myself, Matt, but I have reviewed the tape again, and the way I thought it shook down wasn't the way it happened. And I don't know that maybe the idea you have about we could sit together and look at that and and that may be a good idea, because what I said at the last meeting happened isn't what the tape revealed. So I guess to answer your question, yes, I have changed my opinion after reviewing the tape. David, do you want to speak to that?
You know, John, I haven't, and because I haven't reviewed the tape, I will say that I remember talking about, I said some of the things that Mr. Biscuit said regarding I'd like to keep things local if we can, but I also do remember us talking about bidding to a wider spectrum, so honestly I can't answer the question that Mr. Polstein is putting out today.
I have not reviewed the tape. I just soon move on.
John DeSantis, 64 Congress Street, resident, councilors. I and many others in this room, and many others in this room reviewed the tape too. And what Jimmy's saying is correct. And I think there ought to be an apology from Councilor Polstein right off. A lot of people looked at that tape. He was wrong. You badgered the town manager for 2 meetings. You did him wrong. He wasn't justified in doing what you did. Thank you.
Thank you.